Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into a tiny shift in your running form that can completely transform your power, your speed, and even your endurance. It's a subtle change, but it has massive implications, and it all comes down to one single bone at the base of your spine. Let's jump right in.
Have you ever been out on a run? You make one small adjustment, and suddenly, everything just clicks. It feels smoother, right? More powerful, almost easy? So what's really going on inside your body in that exact moment? That's the mystery we're unpacking today. So our whole journey starts with a really specific sensation, a feeling that actually moves from one part of your body to another as your form gets better. We're going to follow that feeling from a state of just kind of balancing to a state of pure forward driving.
All right, check this out. A lot of us start out with this wide railroad stance you see on the left. When you're running like this, you're basically using your side glutes just to stabilize, just to keep from wobbling all over the place. But when you narrow that stance and you bring your feet under your center of mass like you're on a tightrope, the whole job changes. The effort moves from the side of your butt right to your tailbone. You literally stop just balancing and you start driving forward.
And this is the key takeaway, right? This is a deliberate handoff. You are actively shifting the workload from those smaller stabilizer muscles on your side, and you're putting it squarely onto your body's main engine, your power source, which you feel right there at your tailbone.
So what is that feeling at your tailbone? It's not random. It's a signal. It's your body telling you that you found its secret anchor point and that you're finally getting what we call true hip extension. And that spot has a name, the sacral anchor. It's the exact point where your biggest, most powerful running muscle, your glute max, connects to your spine. When you feel that tension, it means you've literally plugged into your main power source.
Okay, this right here, this is probably the most important tool you're going to get from this whole explainer. If you feel that tightness in your lower back, think above your belt line. You're probably just arching your back. That's fake hip extension. But if you feel that tension right at your tailbone, below the belt line, that's it. That's the golden feeling of true hip extension, powered by your glutes.
And what's cool is, when you nail this, it sets off this awesome chain reaction. True hip extension gives you that powerful glute punch, which just generates way more forward propulsion. All that extra speed means you roll over the front of your shoe faster, and that automatically triggers that snappy toe catch you feel in modern running shoes.
Okay, so we know what it feels like, but why is this one little area so ridiculously important? Let's zoom in on the sacrum itself. You got to understand it's not just another bone. It's the absolute center of your body's entire force system. It's your keystone.
And honestly, this analogy is perfect. Just picture a Roman arch. You know that one single stone at the very top? That's the keystone. It's what locks everything together and lets the whole thing bear weight. Where your sacrum, it does the exact same thing for your body when you run. It holds your upper and lower half together.
So, when you're running efficiently, your sacrum is juggling three massive jobs all at once. First up, it's your power conduit, channeling all that force from the ground up your body. Second, it's the axis of rotation, managing the natural twist between your arms and your legs. And third, it acts as the glute switch. It gives your main power muscle a rock-solid platform to fire from.
Let's look a little closer at that first job. Every single time your foot hits the ground, force shoots up your leg. A stable, neutral sacrum makes sure all that force travels straight up, shooting you forward. But if it's tilted, that energy just leaks out sideways. Wasted effort. Just gone. And this leads us to that third job, the glute switch. And it's a big one. A stable sacrum is what allows you to access 100% of your glute power. Think of it this way. If that keystone is wobbly, the switch just doesn't work. Your glutes can't contract with their full force, and your body has to rely on weaker muscles like your hamstrings to get the job done, which, as you know, leads to fatigue way faster. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But putting it into practice, that's where things can get a little tricky. Runners often try to find this neutral pelvic position, but they usually end up making one of two really common mistakes.
The first mistake is the posterior tuck. You hear that cue, engage your core, so you just clench your abs and tuck everything under, totally flattening your lower back. The opposite error is the anterior dump, where you just let your whole pelvis tilt forward, creating that classic Donald Duck sway back. Both of these are just incredibly inefficient.
So why is that tuck so bad for you? Well, for starters, it locks up your SI joint, which actually needs a little bit of movement. It also prevents your glutes from firing properly, it kills your body's natural shock absorption, and it forces your tiny hip flexors to do all the heavy lifting of pulling your leg forward. And on the flip side, what happens when you just let it all dump forward? Well, that basically jams the bottom of your sacrum right into your lower spine. This puts a ton of stress on your lower back muscles, wastes energy, and you guessed it, this is the #1 reason so many of us get that nagging lower backache deep into a long run.
So where does that leave us? How do we actually use all this? Well, it really boils down to this one idea. Your goal shouldn't be to run harder, it should be to run smoother. And that, my friends, is the secret to both running economy and staying in the sport for the long haul.
I mean, think about it. For most experienced runners, especially in a marathon, it's not your cardio that's holding you back. You've already built a big engine. The thing that's really limiting your performance? It's your running economy. How efficiently you're using the fuel you've got in the tank.
And boom, this is where it all connects. A stable sacrum is the master key to unlocking that economy. By creating that solid keystone, you get rid of all that extra wobble and sway, all that parasitic movement. You make sure that every single drop of your energy goes toward one thing and one thing only, moving forward.
And that's the big mental shift we're talking about here. You have to stop trying to just muscle through your runs. Instead, you need to focus on that feeling of being smooth and stable right through your pelvis. That feeling is your guide, and it really is the secret to running well for a very, very long time. So, I'm going to leave you with a question. A really important one to ask yourself on your next long run. When you get tired, when you're deep into the effort at mile 20, where do you feel it first? What's the very first sensation that tells you your form is starting to break down?
Because those feelings, they're clues. If you feel that tight, compressed lower back, it's a safe bet that your sacrum is tilting forward into that anterior dump. But if you feel your hip flexors or your groin getting really grippy and tight, you're probably trying to compensate by tucking your sacrum under. Your body is literally telling you what's going wrong.
And at the end of the day, it really is that simple. Let the feeling be your guide. Start paying attention to those subtle signals your body is sending you. Instead of just trying to push harder when you get tired, focus on finding that smooth, stable center. Because the key to unlocking your best running, it's not about more effort. It's about better movement.